Hi, everybody. It's Susan again. I just forgot to add one thing that was really important about the 29-degree Pluto. The sun was with Pluto just a couple of hours ago. Now the sun has moved into Aquarius, but I wanted to touch on the progressed Pluto of the United States Sibley chart, which I find is the chart that speaks the loudest in terms of major events in the United States. And here we have a really important conjunction at 29. So the US progressed Pluto is at 29 degrees and 32 minutes. It was exact on the 6th of January, 2024. And the Pluto, of course, today on the 20th of January now, 2024, is still conjunct, separating from that conjunction. Um, and the reason that I wanted to draw this to your attention is because Pluto will come back to this point. And of course, because Pluto moves so slowly, and especially in terms of progressions, this is where the Pluto will be in the US progress chart through 2024 and longer. But the important thing to remember is that in September, October, and for the first almost 3 weeks of November, Pluto will be coming back to that 29-degree point. And it comes right back to that 29 and a half degree point, and it will sit on the United States Pluto. At the same time, we have a progressed new moon forming that's coming up this year for the United States. And so, again, there's an enormous amount of newness. And why I'm saying this is because earlier this week, and I've forgotten the day exactly, there was a Republican convention. I guess I can't remember how it's described. I think it's a Republican convention. And so the candidates were, was it Vivek Ramaswamy and Nikki Haley? God help us, and also Donald Trump, who was not even, I think, in terms of negotiating or discussing or talking with them, but still overwhelmingly won that primary. I'm sorry, I'm getting all the terms wrong. I keep forgetting how the Americans organize their elections, but I think it was the primary, the very first primary in the Iowa caucus, if I'm right. Correct me if I'm wrong. You'll find the answers in the comments, and I'll pin the correct answers if I'm wrong. And so, yeah, this is huge, because why this matters is I don't believe that the United States is going to have either a functional election in November, or if there is an election, I don't think there will be any agreement on either side of the actual conditions of the election. And so this is a new era in which the United States has to redetermine what is their way of choosing. Third house choice, third house elections, third house speaking one's mind, and house of the willpower, house of the voice of the people. How do we choose our government? And this is going to change in terms of the United States. I think this will be a key year where it's a kind of a never more like this moment. And the sun, as it's moving into Aquarius, or it's the end of the day for me here, as the sun moves into Aquarius, and then Pluto moves into Aquarius. Pluto will be squaring the Saturn on the progressed chart. So this is a key month here in January for the United States. Very big shift, revolutionary shift. We know that already, but I just want you to follow these dates, because what's happening now is going to be mirrored in the autumn and around the election time. And you will also want to look at the 8th of April eclipse that is happening in the 6th house. I'm going to just pull that up here so I can quickly show you how that also is speaking to the progress chart for the states. So the American, I already spoke about this. I did a video about the United States, and so you can have a look at these things in that video from 2 months ago. I can't remember. So we have Chiron and the new moon really tightly conjunct within a minute of each. And that is conjunct the natal Chiron, which is almost 18 degrees. They're in the progressed chart of the United States, and that's opposing the progressed Mars in the United States chart, which is at 1645 of Libra, and that is where the ascendant and the south node is in terms of the solar eclipse in Aries. So a really huge message being received, let's say, in terms of the April 8th eclipse. This will be something to pay attention to. Things will shift in a very big way for the United States in 2024. It is not necessarily going to be easy, but it is what you might describe as absolutely necessary for things to change, because they can't continue this way. The interesting thing about the South Node in the 12th house, Mars in poor dignity. Mars is not in good dignity here in a retrograde in the 12th house in Libra. And that is an indication of backhandedness, dodgy dealings, things going on behind the scenes. You see with Joe Biden, he has a ton of dodgy things going on in his 12th house. And all this stuff that needs to come to the surface, Pluto will be challenging the system, challenging the whole framework, challenging the very foundation of the United States as it's at that very last degree of Capricorn. And this is the beginning of the very new way that the United States will take shape. I think the elections will be the very first thing to be well, let's say not the first thing. Democracy has already been sacrificed decades ago. Some of you are only waking up to that now, and you think that somehow Donald Trump is the one who's ruining your democracy. That was already done. That was done and dusted decades ago. But really what is changing now after the fall of democracy is the electoral system. And that is like the most obvious manifestation of this for the United States. So brace yourself. This is going to be quite the year. And it's really, as of today and this particular period of time, that we want to really pay attention to all these things that are happening. Notice what is going on in terms of leadership, in terms of non-respect of the American Constitution. Oh, the Constitution was another one that died off a long time ago. Now that people are waking up to the fact, they're noticing things like wars being declared without any mention of it to Congress and things like this. So these things matter if you want to have a functioning society, which is apparently not happening any longer. And so on the one hand, it's going to be very difficult. This is the time that we're alive, and these are the things that we have to deal with. But it's a very necessary change, and this is what Pluto brings. Pluto brings a necessary change in a way that reveals the truth in the most potent form. So hang on to your hats, and for my American friends and clients out there, power to you. And may it all go in the very best direction for the highest benefit of all.